I call on my colleagues right now to demand the return of people unlawfully taken to El Salvador on that so-called plane full of gangbangers.
Yeah, the liberals obsess over one Maryland migrant who was shipped to the Supermax prison in El Salvador.
We're actually doing is sweeping on people based upon their appearance and not even going through the basic identity checks and due process.
This guy has no reason to be in a jail in El Salvador. He's only there because of Trump's policies.
Now that screams middle America. Now, not good if it was a mistake, but important to note, that guy was an MS-13 member, as court documents show. So literally, Democrats spent more time talking about that guy than they ever did about Lincoln Riley or Jocelyn Nungaray, both brutally murdered by illegals. You want to know why they're at 37%? So somehow the party of FDR and Bill Clinton has become the party of AOC and Jayapal. Now those two exist for protest. Because I'm telling you, if AstroTurf activism was an Olympic sport, they'd both be gold medalists. Congresswoman Jayapal is inviting you to her resistance lab.
We really need to help Americans understand what happens when democracies fall, when dictators take over. We've developed a curriculum where we help people understand how do you go after the pillars of support? How do you shift allies from being sort of passive opponents to being active supporters of taking down a dictatorship?
Curriculum. Wow. She's smart. I mean, this is all they know, right? They emote, they feel, they're outraged, and when they lose, democracy becomes a dictatorship. That's all you need to know. So they prattle on about environmental justice, the patriarchy, and reparations. Discredited theories and warmed over socialism. Nothing to improve the lives of everyday Americans. And again, nothing screams middle America like championing the cause of men who claim to be women, and vice versa.
Part of the reason we're in the situation we're in the first place is because we weren't loud enough to fight for the trans community.
Trans liberation was never going to be won by capitalistic companies changing their logos to rainbow colors for the month of June. It's going to be won how it always has been won, by trans people and drag queens throwing bricks in the street.
It's shocking that they lost the male vote by how much they did. But look,
I have to laugh when I hear the right wing carry on about the dangers of exposing kids to trans people or same-sex couples. And right now, it's drag queens reading books and transgender people serving in the military. And tomorrow, it's your marriage license and your job they want to take.
Okay. And the best example of how tone-deaf Democrats are, their opposition to voter ID, which, by the way, is on the Wisconsin ballot tonight, as we just heard from Mike Tobin. While a staggering 84% of Americans support voter ID requirements, Democrats fight it tooth and nail. Everywhere it pops up, rallying to help defeat, at least temporarily, a Republican measure called the SAVE Act, which would require it nationwide. More on that later. New York AG Letitia James, oh, she's a fair one, says the SAVE Act will threaten voting rights for communities of color and women. Why oppose such a common sense measure, though? Because they want illegals to vote, that's why. There's no other logical reason. Elon Musk has said that. Of course, we've known that for many years. We could go on and on. Democrats defending Hamas. Democrats terrorizing Tesla owners. Democrats against parental rights. Robbie, don't worry. We won't tell your mommy that you're now Rebecca. None of this is popular. No wonder the elected Democrats are running to the courts and George Soros to save them, because they're on the wrong side of most issues that matter the most to Americans, yet they're laser focused on defending deviants, derelicts, deadbeats, and drug dealers, and that's the angle.
Fox News alert, the polls are officially closed in Florida's 1st District, where we're watching the race to replace former Congressman Matt Gaetz. A few minutes ago, the AP called the race for Florida's 6th District, Mike Waltz's seat, which the Republican candidate Randy Fine won easily. So if the Republican running for Gaetz' seat, Jimmy Petronis, wins his race as well, that's good news for the Trump agenda. And Republicans will keep their margin in the House, and we'll keep you posted. Well, Spartacus is back, and he shattered the filibuster record. The senator, my senator actually, hey Corey, has been speaking for over 25 straight hours, and no one can figure out what he wants.
Lift every voice and sing.
Let's head to the chopper.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring.
You think we got civil rights because one day Strom Thurmond, after filibustering for 24 hours, you think we got civil rights?
What do you think?
Because
Okay.
he came to the floor one day and said, I've seen the light. Let those Negro people have the right to vote. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts today are inadequate to stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong.
Man, shut your
We have
fucking
changed
stupid ass
history.
up.
If you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love.
While Spartacus was grandstanding and holding Washington hostage, his staffer got arrested for smuggling a gun into the Capitol. And the media didn't even care because Spartacus was on a roll. He was about to break Strom Thurmond's all-time record. Biden segregationist buddy was filibustering the Civil Rights Act. What was Booker filibustering? We still don't know. Thun's trying to pass no tax on tips. I guess Booker really wants to tax those waitresses or waiters. So while Booker bloviates, the squad's training street soldiers.
Help me understand this idea of the resistance lab and what you're talking about in practical terms at these events.
Yeah, I mean, what we decided is that we really need to help Americans understand what happens when democracies fall, when dictators take over. We've developed a curriculum where we help people understand how do you go after the pillars of support, not necessarily the person at the top, but the pillars of support, also preparing them for the moments that will come of coordinated resistance, whether it's distributed action or mass action, that people need to be ready for.
Basically,